And Matthew 22, super. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, and love your neighbor as yourself. Is this one of the greatest events in your life, Glendora? Yes. Continuing, encountering, and catching 7 crooks in the state courts in the appeals level is one of the greatest events. Only good can come of it. We can return their black, sooty hearts to healthy pink. Oh yes, we can do that. I will pray for them, people, and you pray for them, please. Who else recently has been so blessed? Well, who else has been so honored? They did everything right to get themselves caught. We are also in the process of catching the surrogate court in the Susan McCormick theft of $24 million since 1989. And the truth is out about the Supreme, quote-unquote, court. State of New York, Appellate Term, 9th and 10th Judicial Districts. How do you justify $130,000 a year for these crooks? I cannot see you do anything. You truncate oral argument. You don't care what is being said. You cut us off, as you did that poor legal aid lawyer trying to stand up for that woman who was made homeless. You don't give us civil nor gracious coverage, and maybe you will not leave us as soon as Khalidi did, and we will have time to effect your recovery into real people. Abjure. I left at 2:30 in the morning to get to court by 9:30. I paid people to drive me $100. They had to get up at 2:30 in the morning. After court, we had lunch, and we went to the White Plains City Court for other things, and we went to White Plains Public Access, and that was just about it. Oh, we went to see our friends at 99 Court Street, and came back at 9:30 at night just for 10 minutes. I don't have to say anything to you. You know what's going on. And the evil you do, I'm talking to Rudolph, McCabe, and Littman, are not as bad as what you might be doing, and your papers have such an amateur smell. And the crooks will always win, the good guys will always lose, but they are not the wins. They are cheats. They are abominable, dirty, disgusting cheats. They are not wins. They're not wins by any stretch of the word. And these are not losses for us, they are victories. We are sanguine. We know what will set you free from sin and guilt and penalty. And with you go Cheap, Masterilli, and Sawrock, and Sadly, and Cablevision, and the Dolans, your betters. 2, impoverished and marginal to pay a minuscule $5,020. And when you love the Lord your God with all your heart and your neighbor as yourself, you will no longer do these things, and you will stop doing what is best for you and do what is best for your country, which you have spurned. If the $5,020 had been returned to me, Glendora, its proper owner, very possibly I would have given some to Masterilli, and to you and to others. And speedily, since I do not want to give any of it to the IRS. As you know, the IRS, the Internal Revenue Act, is not a law. It shouldn't be called an act. It should be called a bill. Only 3 states ratified it. It is not a law. Internal Revenue Bill is not a law, of 1913. It was a device to pay for the Federal Reserve bill. The Federal Reserve Bank is not a federal agency. It is a private bank run by international bankers. And they took away from us the right to coin our own money, and they print bills at will, as many as they want. And then they loan money to the United States, and then they charge interest for it. It is a scam artistry. Back to these bad people. That's the degree, the magnitude to which evil has become. To the 200th power. But don't you worry. God has many powers above that. Okay, if I had the $5,000, I would have given it away, and I would have given it to homeless people, and I would have given it to the animals. Glendora incorporates herein, as if fully stated herein, everything in her two other allocutions, Glendora versus Charles Dolan, through Langelotti, and Glendora versus Ecott. She said what she meant, and she meant what she said. Like Horton the elephant, a friend is a friend, 100%. Americans for Legal Reform in Huntington has received complaints about Edward McCabe and is asking members for any information about him. Well, I have plenty. So take the time, energy, and money to copy this trilogy about you and send it to Americans for Legal Reform. They picket the Nassau Supreme Court every other month, and then they picket the Suffolk Supreme Court. Billable time, lawyers, crooked judges. And you should call Americans for Legal Reform. Bad faith. You acted in bad faith, all of you. Littman, Rudolph, and McCabe. And then all the rest of you, 20 of you in all. And one good faith, 78-year-old woman, a widow, was your victim. The last word has not been spoken, and it will be spoken by God, folks, and it will be good. Bad things happen to people who get sued. It may not happen in the courts, and it may look like they got away with it, but bad things are going to happen to those people. You just watch. It will be outside of the court. The nemesis always lurks. It's stupid to trample on the honest and steal from them. You should not affront believers. I would much rather be I than I would you. You people are so unhappy. You look so unhappy. Again, the G generation is like Dorian Gray. Glendora did not lose. The losers are Rudolph, McCabe, Littman, down through Master Billy. You sat there at the bench, looking me straight in the eye, and you knew fully well you were going to double-cross me. Isn't it sad how lost you are, how far gone you are? It is so sad. In fraud, we trust. That is their motto. In fraud, we trust. We answered your call, God. My 6 friends and I answered your calls. It is hard for Christians to love yourselves, but it is the second commandment. However, we rejoice at how God called us on an assignment of such magnitude. It was an epiphany, and it was on Epiphany. This happened December 6th. What do you do for $130,000 a year? You hand the 5 pages to a ghostwriter to grind out an ignominy. What did one ghost say to the other? Do you know what one ghost said to the other, folks? Frankly, I don't believe in people. Even if we do not get our money, it was worth $3,000 in open court, on record, to ask you if you had taken an oath, and were you adhering to that oath, and were you adhering to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and were you in honor and honesty and in fairness doing due process of law? Because if you aren't, by the 14th Amendment to the Constitution of the United States, Section C, you're going to lose your job. And Section D, you're going to lose your pension. It was a bargain. It only cost me $3,000 to do that. Now, what is a bargain? A bargain is something you don't need at a price you can't resist. Catching you red-handed did the world much more good than the $14,000 that you have stolen from me. I would rather do this good to the world than have the $14,000. And believe me, if I had the $14,000, I would get rid of it fast. Actually, it is 7 judges, dirty judges, we've caught in the act, red-handed. Now, where is your sting? It is not there. Your names are on the TV screen in big, bold color letters, outlined brightly, from the District of Columbia to Albany, New York, plus Long Island, and the 5 boroughs of New York City, and Westchester and Dutchess, and New Jersey, and Buffalo, and Houston, and New Mexico, and Oregon, and you are very famous. We are on top, flattening the black soot and smoke out of your bodies. On Thursday, January the 19th, drop everything about this paper and prepare for the trial, Glendora versus Satterley, in the White Plains City Court, January the 24th. And that took 30 hours to prepare for it, and 16.5 hours there, and 51 hours to write a post-trial memo affidavit. And on February 4th at 10:40 a.m., Glendora resumed this paper. She found it, she gathered it, and she tried to figure out where we resumed. And it was on thought page 16. Overcome their evil with good. That's what you can remember from this, folks. Overcome evil with good. Eta, eta. Glendora's papers are handwritten, as was the Constitution of the United States, the Declaration of Independence, and the state constitution. What is the answer to their abyssal end? I told you. Overflowing goodness, ample sufficiency of good, copiousness of good. Drown out their deficiency, their insufficiency, and their dearth. Okay. We are on top, and they are on the bottom. Who? Rudolph, Tannenbaum, Angelillo, McCabe, Lippman, Dolan, Charles, Dolan, James, Cecilia, Eacock, Tomah, Callagate, Satterley, Stevens, Burke, and Burke, Sarok, the odious law clerks, Voch, Budil, Gargar, Anderson, Savarino, Forma. All these ganged up on a poor 78-year-old widow? Yes. They are a mob. They are gangsters. They are bullies. As I've said before, I don't know which mob it is. It does not matter what vehement and cogent, lawful and factual their obloquy is ready to drop. Perpendicular to justice. And we are on page 31. So we're going to take a little break. I'll tell you a few jokes. In church, the minister said, the first hand up gets to pick the first 3 hymns. And the old maid picked her hand up and said, I pick him and him and him. And The minister took his car to the mechanic to be fixed, and when he got there, the mechanic said that the bill was $1,000. And the minister says, "You can't charge me $1,000. I'm just a poor preacher." And the mechanic said, "Yes, I went to your service last Sunday." Did you know that the Pope got the bird flu? Did you know that the Pope got the bird flu? He got it from his cardinals. And this priest that I took lunch along with a minister, I know, I took them both to lunch because I thought they would enjoy knowing each other. And so the priest came with his clerical collar, and the rest of his black stopped right here, and he had no jacket. And as we came out of the post office, a woman went, that he was cold and he had no jacket. And the priest says, "That's okay. I have a right to bear arms." And I say that we have a right to arm bears. Let bears shoot back at the hunters. Let deer shoot back at the hunters. What happens when you cross a stream and a brook? What do you get when you cross a stream and a brook? Wet feet! So I have to go to my joy book and tell the joy book what I did. I might as well do it with you here, I guess. And then we'll read pages 31 to 40. (10:45 a.m.) Videotape 21 to 30. Rejoice. 55 degrees. Ice and snow of 1 month ago vanishing. 1 month ago, you know, it snowed 14 inches. And 1 month ago, I was at the Appellate Term for Glendora versus Charles Dolan and Cablevision Systems Corporation, mangled by Peter Lane of the Rise City Court. So what do we rejoice about? These Herculean tasks that we take on? And sometimes we feel like Atlas. We feel like Hercules, we feel like Atlas. That we got the world on our shoulder. But we're happy. Because really, we're focused on the greatness of God. So, we rejoiced at 11 a.m. Continue reading. 31 to 40 out of 66. Rejoice ye pure in heart, rejoice, give thanks and sing, your festal banner raised on high, the cross of Christ your King. Rejoice, 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 give thanks and sing. I rejoice about you. I know I'll hear from you about this. Page 31, there is nothing we can say that they will not corrupt. How much is their judicial bond? We've got to learn how to go after their judicial bond. We will show their insurer that they are bad risks, that they must not be insured, and if they don't have a judicial bond, they can't go on the bench. Bye-bye. We pay $70,000 a year for these despicable clerks to indulge their appetites for greed. To this we say, yuck. These poor people are so crooked, rotten, and decayed. You, Lippmann, surprise us the most. You, who were the who wrote the Small Claims Guide. It came out of the Office of Court Administration. Then you come up, vile, virulent, viscous, vicious, venomous. Your conduct is actionable, together with your violation of the Fourth Amendment in the people's courthouses. Illegal search and seizure. That comes from the court administration of the courts. Don't you know that's against the Fourth Amendment? You go through our bags and our boxes and our briefcases and our pockets and that's illegal search, and then you seize it? This would be a very good lawsuit emanating from 140 Grand Street. And look at all the money that you knowingly, willfully, and deliberately steal from us, the good New Yorkers. You are a civil RICO, which is 18 United States Code, Section 1963 et sequitur. And to the man and to the woman, you have each gone mob-like. The international bankers, Glendora sued Rothschild to Rockefeller. Pull your strings. And you sit there at the bench and you look at us with eyes of deceit. And we cringe in disgust. You do it for money, and you can't even read. And you can't even write. And you sink with ghostwriters, and you slink around. And they are also illiterate. And you are a consumer fraud on a myriad of accounts, including your RICO court stenographer fees that you abet. And it's Dorian Gray, and we are happy to expose you. Clean up your mess and overcome your evil with good, and we are happy. You are not. You made me pay $95 for minutes, and you never read it, and you never read our papers. And Joe West told Glendora when he drove us home from Manhattan, where we attended a seminar, cameras in the courtroom. He and I were both in favor of it, that he did not want to be in an appellate appointment. And he says, all that reading, ugh. Well, you do not have to worry. They do not read anything, Joe. They cannot even read a caption. And in broad daylight, you made such fools of yourself, and then these squirming, wiggly lawyers feed off of you. You have usurped the courts to satiate your own ego and your own selfish purposes. And wrapped in your bitterness, and wrapped and rolled, you have been caught. And you have so been exposed all over the world and on 2 websites. Corruption, egotism, self-interest, immaturity, irresponsibility, hatred, spite, and malice cover the computer screen and the television screen. And to whom am I speaking? Kenneth W. Rudolph, Edward McCabe, Jonathan Lippman, and their 2 dirty ghostwriters. Sold souls. Overpowered by the devil, you made your own odious record completely succumb. You do not think, you just get even. You abducted justice. How much is your judicial bond? Your names and your deeds emblazon the computer screen and the TV screen in bold colors, outlined fonts, unresisted self-surrender to vice. Yours is a slur reply. Shall we keep coming back to you until you capitulate to conscience? Shall we give up on you? The answer is no. The more you violate, the more people see your absurdities. And how do you sleep at night? Page 35. Angelillo's incompetence was awarded by the more incompetent appellate division, Monroe Street, for more feeble-minded distortions of the law and the facts. We are I don't know. When we write and speak, you are not sincere. We are sincere when we write and speak, and you are not. And you get paid $70,000 a year writing this kid stuff. What does God think of this? Seek then those who go astray. Vanity, vicious, viscid, vile, virulent, violative, all of it. It is. And who will bear your sins and griefs? Look at the peace that you forfeit Is it worth it, Littman, Rudolph, and McCabe? Is it worth it to be totally unlovable? You are not even friendly one to another, nor faithful to each other. We will keep coming back until you face reality. White Plains Court gave Glendora justice by the law, and you stole it by violating the law. Your trials and temptations result in needless pain to bear. We know your every weakness, and who will all your sorrow bear? Weak and heavy laden, cumbered with a load of care, you have no friends. What a friend we have in Jesus, all our sins and griefs to bear. What a privilege to carry everything to God in prayer. Is there anybody who does not despise you, Littman, Rudolph, and Jalillo, McCabe, Tannenbaum? Anybody who pretends to like you is as phony as you are. Forgive their foolish ways. Reclothe them in their rightful mind. So the establishment is making sure a clone fills the Angelillo vacancy. Quote, take from their souls the stress and strain, and let their ordered lives confess the beauty of thy grace. Oh, I pray for that so ardently. I pray for that for you. West Legal Publishing has never learned that everything has two sides. They will print this? No. They will print the other side? No. They do not know enough. But the good is that your papers show what a vast intellectual and moral chasm that you are. It is prima facie, fully unskilled, fully unversed, unproficient, inept, amateurish, unequal to, and uncommensurate with the requirement. That's you, Angelillo, Tannenbaum, McCabe, Rudolph, and Littman. Will we send this to Judith K? Yes, we will. And at the same address as Liar for Hire, sadly, Stevens, Burke, and Burke. My friends, all 7 of them, thought that the oral argument, December the 6th, was superlative. They were sure that Glendora was going to get justice. They knew not the evil that lurks behind your untrustworthy eyes, but the public could see what was right. The public could see the facts. The public could see the law. They knew what was right, but they didn't know how evil you were. Your parents never taught you right from wrong. Probably they didn't know it themselves. Your grandparents didn't know it. Your cheating heart will tell on you. You acted with criminal intent. Judith K. will read the tea leaves. What she has to pick from is not good. She's got to pick another sleaze like you. It is even not slim pickings. $200 it costs to go before you and up at 4 a.m. and all the time you knew you would double-cross Glendora and that you would obstruct justice. That's their whole aim in life, is to obstruct justice. It is so pitiful how you are mired so deeply and you are unable to extricate yourselves. And by Criminal Code 18 U.S. Code Section 3057, Glendora has an obligation to report your criminal action to government authorities. There's a lot of criminal investigations going on in Crooked Westchester Court. Piles and piles and piles of them. And indictments. Rudolph should have rescued Glendora, and Rudolph should have recused. He should have recused because I sued him way back, and I don't know when it was, 1998. And you called us December the 6th with intent to obstruct justice. We were on page 39. Glendora will file these 50 or 60 pages or so as a judicial misconduct complaint. Yes, that's already gone in. It was one of the papers I just posted about an hour ago. But again, what do we poor citizens do when the judge doing the judging is worse than the judge being judged? What do you do, folks? How could anybody be worse than Voch, Toman, or Sarok? But you are. What is the amount of your judicial bond? Glendora asks again. Defendants, appellees, or rather defendants, appellants, do not even show for oral argument. They didn't even